So here's our code here. It's pretty much the same as homework 6. We have our interrupt service routine, which is the same as homework 6. It just has a few comments that kind of explain the functionality a little bit better. The reason I'm adding 5 here is because the max speed we wanted for the stepper motor was 1 revolution per second, and since we have 200 steps per rotation, speed actually corresponds to the delay that we're putting between each step. So if we set the max delay to the max speed, if we add 5 to speed at all times, our max speed will be 1 revolution per second, and that's what we're doing here. We have this function A to D read, which reads in the value of the potentiometer. We have a few extra functions this time. One that's write string, which just writes a string to the LCD display. And then we have string write number, which isn't incredibly aptly named, but what it does is it takes a number and it writes that number at a certain index to a string. And that's just kind of a backwards way of implementing a printf. We have a function called initialize, which just initializes all our variables, and then we got our main loop that does a little bit of the busy work. So it initializes, it writes the title to our LCD, it sets up our interrupts, gets that all up and running, and then we have this string here that kind of outputs the status of our speed and direction. And we have XXX here and X for speed and direction, and that is filled in using the string write number guy that I was explaining earlier. And yeah, it reads in the voltage across the potentiometer, divides it by 4 in order to get it inside of a character, and yeah.
So here's our board here. Potentiometer has a dead zone in the middle when it's turned all the way to the left. The LCD screen displays the rotations per second, which is 1, and the direction is counterclockwise, negative. When the potentiometer is turned all the way to the right, the LCD screen displays the rotations per second 1, and the direction is positive. The stepper motor corresponds to what the LCD display shows.